Hi everyone. I have read your Integrative Literature Review Part 2 and your matrix and provided feedback in the rubric. For several of you, I included feedback on your matrix as well as your paper. So make sure you look in all three places for feedback and reach out with questions. In general, you all did a fabulous job with the matrix. Many of you commented how you felt like this was one of the more challenging assignments that you've done in a while, and I appreciate that. We're asking you to do more than just read an article and tell us what the article was about. We're asking you to synthesize 20 or 25 sources. Tell us why they are quality sources, tell us why they're relevant to your topic, and then provide an analysis of their information. So being able to put all of that in a matrix in a meaningful way and then be able to extrapolate the content from your matrix into a synthesis and an analysis for your paper required a lot of organization, a lot of attention to detail. So if this is something that you've gotten some feedback for and you need to do some revisions, that's okay. This is a progressive assignment. The idea is that by the time you finish this paper, it is a polished final product. Go through and make sure that when you read your paper, your analysis section, that you are discussing your articles for inclusion and exclusion. Why did you keep them? You're not going to have to provide, some of you provided a pretty deep dive or summary of your articles, and that's okay as long as in the process you said, I'm excluding this article because of this content or this lack of relevance or this lack of academic rigor or research rigor. In your included articles, you need to, if you're going to include an article for a integrative literature review, included articles need to have not just relevance, not just topically appropriate to what you were researching, but also a level of research rigor that says, these authors went through this process of research, and because their process was scholarly and intentional and methodical, their findings are not likely to be erroneous or give me information that's not accurate. We call those type 1 and type 2 research errors. So if you've provided a summary of your articles, you need to take it one step further and say, these are the articles I found and I'm keeping them and I'm going to use them for my synthesis in part 3 because they're not only relevant, but they involved research rigor in their process. And I know this because I found this information in the article. These are just a couple of sentences that can go along with your brief summary that say it's okay to include these. So the other side of that spectrum is if you use a Google Scholar or a general research tool for a database, and you type in a bunch of keywords and it pulls up 1,000 articles, and you did not discriminate between those 1,000 articles of good research versus poor research or relevant research versus irrelevant research, you would wind up basing your answer to your PICO question on mixed data that may or may not be quality, so that impacts the quality of your own answer. I hope I'm explaining the bunny trail well enough to you that you understand why your analysis in part 2 needed to not just be, this is what I found. It needs to be, and this is why I'm keeping it or excluding it. Both of those data sets have to be addressed in this integrative literature review. So if you've made a misstep there, breathe, it's okay, go back in, brush it up, fix what you need to fix, and then begin part 3. The great news is everybody is right on target with their PICO questions, and you guys are looking at some really good topics, from simulation to bedside education, to dedicated education units, to plagiarism and cheating. So many cool topics. I'm always excited when I get to read your work because I'm learning too, and what you're researching is what I do every day. So I'm kind of kind of killing a bird with two stones, and you all are doing half my work for me, keeping me up on my literature. So I have enjoyed your work. So that all being said, a few APA points. When you write the title of your paper, fantastic to be creative, but be creative with a colon and then tell me what your article is about. When someone looks for an article using keywords, they're going to look in titles and abstracts. If the title of your paper does not describe what's in your paper, if you were in a database, you would not be considered part of the pull for the information if somebody was looking for content, because your title isn't descriptive. So an integrative literature review is not the best title for this paper. An integrative literature review colon how to the difference between simulation and classroom instruction. That would work. Not terribly creative, but that would work. So just be descriptive in your paper title. I think that's everything I've got. A good clue of whether you have used your matrix appropriately is whatever's in your matrix, you should have an in-text. All of everything that's in your matrix should also be in your reference list, and your reference list should all have associated in-text citations. So if you've properly used your matrix to write your synthesis and your analysis, all of the work that you've spent all that time reading those articles, you're going to cite them within your paper, and you're going to use those in-text citations and then reference it. That's a clue that you've used your matrix appropriately. If you've not done that, again, go back and fix it. Okay, next week you have got your practicum log number 2 due. Because of the change in Typhon, remember, you've got to go back in and make sure that your hours from 617, 618, and 619 are still calculated. If they are not, you need to have that fixed before you submit your practicum log number 2. Contact Faith Sterling and she will walk you through that process. You cannot graduate unless your log says there are 200 hours. So I do need to make sure you do some housekeeping to take care of that. Okay, your portfolio. Last part of your portfolio, this is the fun part. This is where you go and put all the polish on everything. You add those last few steps. Your last one is to add service for professional community and faith community. And then part 6 is the supporting artifacts. One thing I want to remind you with the supporting artifacts, they have to be 3 unique artifact types. So you could use a picture and do a brief introductory video. Those are 2 different artifacts. You cannot pick a PowerPoint from 617 that you got an A on, a Word document from 618 that you got an A on, and then a voiceover PowerPoint from 619 that you got an A on. Those are all academic artifacts, and they would all be grouped together. So those are sample of academic work. So even though they're 3 different file types, they are still under the same bucket. So be creative, have fun with this. Remember, this is when you hit the submit button for part 3, this is the final opportunity to make it uniquely you. So when I open this and I see your portfolio in all of its glory and its final version, I need to see who you are as a professional first, as an educator, and under that umbrella of what it is to be a Christian nurse educator. So make sure that you really spend some time cleaning that up and getting that ready for final submission, and make sure you follow the submission process so that comes into Blackboard cleanly. Okay, I'm going to let you guys go. If you have questions or concerns, know that I'm here. You are really, really, really close. We're entering week 6, so you've got week 6, 7, and 8, and you are almost there. So hang in there. Just remember, the goal in all of these progressive assignments is that at the end point, you are fabulous, and you are making progress. So just keep walking. Hang in there. Touch base if you have questions or concerns. Have a great week.